Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video, I filmed a video the other day where I talked about how I'm going to follow my intuition more when it comes to content, and sometimes my take can be a little, I don't want to say controversial because it's not controversial, just different. It can be a little different. I want to start sharing that opinion. So okay, let me start. So as you can see from the title of the video, Liam Payne died, and I would say part of the fandom, and it started when I took my sister to see This Is Us. I don't remember why I took her to see it. Like, I think it was just like, oh, let's go see it, because she was a fan. I was like, oh yeah, they're cool, but I didn't know any of their names except one. But I walked out of that movie theater a fan. I've never cried for a celebrity death before. When I found out about Liam, that one hit. I couldn't stop crying, and I was like, oh my god, like, what's going on? I didn't know that I cared this much, but I was sobbing. I'm so glad I was here at my mom's house because my sister's here, and she like is the only person that will understand my feelings. She just got really silent, but I was crying, and I just like kept staring off into space, and I kept getting these downloads. And that's what sparked this video, because I was going to film this yesterday, but I overthought it, and the downloads just kept coming to me. And so I'm here. And now we're filming this because there are so many people on my For You page that were distraught over this, you know, and just like grieving, because it's almost like grieving your childhood, because we're truly never going to experience One Direction ever again as a five, which is something that if you were actually a fan, you would want, like, all of them together. And so that's sad. That's really sad. And people are bringing up, see, this is where I'm gonna start bringing in law of assumption and everything, but I did want to get my feelings out because like One Direction was so precious to me. Like, am I gonna cry during this video? They've been my top artist every year since I saw that movie. They've been a top artist for me, and I'm sure if I could look back on all my like replays on Spotify and stuff and Apple Music, then they would show up. They show up so much in my music history. Like, I listen to it so much because if you follow me on my channel, I do mention this feeling of freedom that I crave a lot over everything, like peace and all that stuff, like just freedom. I just want to feel free. Listening to their music was the only time I felt free, because it was so like, it was just a bunch of goofy guys, you know? And I just imagined myself like being friends with them, and like I wasn't like one of those fangirls that were like pressed over them. I was a Nile girly. I'm editing this video and I'm realizing that I sound very confusing because one, I said that I was a Nile girl, and if you saw my screenshots, like I wasn't paying attention to them. I listened to Harry Styles a lot. I didn't even realize how much till I saw those screenshots, and I think it's kind of confusing that I said that I was a Nile girl and Harry is my top artist solo. And I just wanted to like quickly explain that because I was shocked to see it as well. I think what it is that, as you guys know, I've been doing a lot of healing, and ever since 2020 I started listening to his music. So I think I associated his music with like safety and like comfort, and so when I would listen to his music, I was usually dealing with something, and it would just like make me feel safe. I don't know if anyone else has had this experience with music, but like One Direction made me feel free, and Harry made me feel safe. Well, his music made me feel safe, and then One Direction's music made me feel free. Those two have been played a lot because I've been doing a lot of healing and just like trying to better myself. And so of course those are the feelings that like I craved, with safety and feeling free. And so that was the music I was drawn to. And on top of that, One Direction had like a nostalgic feeling as well. So again, connecting to my childhood, like my feeling of being a child, like being younger, even though I wasn't a child when they came out. They're all my age, actually. I don't know, I think it's just like the mentality that I had back then. It was very innocent. I think I missed that. But I wanted to come on here to mention why Harry is like a lot of listening hours, and I think that's why. It's just that sense of safety and sense of like home. Thought I'd explain that before I continue talking about how Niall was my favorite. I think Niall was my favorite because he literally represented like that sense of freedom. Like, he was the most protected in the group, even though he wasn't the youngest. I wanted to experience what he was experiencing the most, and I think that's why he was my favorite. Like, the way he was, just his relationship with everybody and everything, like I liked it. And I think that's what I craved, and I think that's why he was my favorite. This is going to be a very yappy video. This is like one of those times that I wish I had a podcast, because this would could easily be an hour video. Back to what I was saying. I was sitting and just thinking, and again, getting these downloads. And I saw on my For You page, like I saw a lot of people grieving and being like in shock and all those things. But then I started seeing people saying like, oh, I see a bunch of people on my For You page grieving for an abuser and all these things. And I'm, okay, let me go back in time, in Wheezy time. Back in the day, I used to really be into true crime. And I've been into true crime since I was a kid, which is kind of crazy to say, but like Lifetime movies, that is true crime. Like unsolved mysteries, all those things I was so into. And this past year, I was watching true crime, as I do, and I took a step back and I was like, every time I watch these videos, I feel like a terrible human being, like truly like terrible, that I have empathy for the killer. Like what is it in my brain that is making me have empathy for people who are hurting people? Like, what is this? Like, don't get me wrong, I have empathy for the victim as well, but like I also have empathy for the killer, and it used to drive me crazy. Like I used to be like, Louise, what the fuck is wrong with you? They're bad people. Why do you care? Like they're bad. They're bad. Why do you care? And it would be this like in my brain, just like back and forth. You got the story of how they grew up. Like if you grew up like that, would you be strong enough to be good? And I finally stopped watching true crime. And when I saw all the things about Liam's ex coming up, the same argument in my head came up again, because I was sitting here crying for this person who hurt this other person, and why the fuck do I, like, why am I having empathy? What's going on? Like, and I kept crying, and it was like, again, this whole like mind fuck. And all that to say, again, kept getting downloads, and it's because like, who is bad and who is good? I started posting on Threads recently, and one of the things that I said, I was like, why does one bad thing erase all the good someone does, but one good thing can't erase all the bad? When I hit like submit, whatever the thing is on Threads, I immediately got that we value bad over good. That's why. Like we hold being bad higher than being good. If we held them equal, then as long as that person is doing good now, then the bad shouldn't matter, because what matters is what they're doing now. All those things were coming through my mind, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, like everyone is you pushed out. You know, I've been talking to you guys about very surface level things when it comes to the law of assumption, someone lying or not being romantic. Like I think it's time that we can talk about more things. And this thing about people being bad and good, who's the judge? Who's the judge of who is good and bad? And this focus on the bad in life, like we focus on bad in everyone. Like instead of talking about the good things about people, we always say, but what's wrong with them? Any celebrity that we see, it's like, okay, but they're part of Hollywood, they're probably evil. What? What do you mean? What do you mean they're probably evil because they are doing a job? What? The thing that also made me get here was that a couple weeks ago was like having empathy for celebrities in general. And I was like, if I lied to someone, which has probably happened in my day and probably yours as well. If you lied to someone, right? You did it one time, but the lie really hurt this person, really hurt them deeply. And now anytime you are talked about to anyone, this lie is brought up, even though this lie happened 5 years ago and it only happened to one person. I know that what happened with Liam's ex is way more serious than this, but I'm trying to open your mind to the idea. This is how I got here. Is me opening my mind to the idea. If someone was to label me a liar for the rest of my life just because I lied to one person, and to think that I can't change from that person, when we know, if you follow me, you probably know about the law of assumption. We know that everyone is you pushed out. So we know that that person had to lie to that person because that person saw them as a liar. Everyone is you pushed out. If you experienced something, you probably had some type of belief about that person, and that's why you experienced it. And so when you think about it that way, like you have empathy. When I was thinking about Liam's ex again, I had empathy for her. Like I felt for her, because going through that without support sucks, and knowing that people will attack you sucks. But I think, oh, I'm really just letting it all out today. No more censoring. I think we aren't meant to share our trauma with the world in that way. Like I think it shouldn't be individual based, so it shouldn't be about punishing someone. And I that too, like I had a whole epiphany about punishment. Like the justice system is just revenge that we have given to the government. Do my revenge for me here. And it's like not helpful. If we see people as criminals, we don't see them differently. We put people in boxes, and we're not meant to be in boxes. We're not meant to be in boxes. We are all able to shift, and we're malleable. We can change. We all can change. This mindset that we can't, and we think that, oh, if someone does something bad, they can't change. That's not true. We know that's not true. If you follow me, you know that's not true. So why do we continue doing it when we know better? And I wanted to mention I was getting a bunch of downloads, and as I was getting all these things given to me, like you can have empathy for people. Like that's how we're going to be living heaven on earth, is this empathy that we are meant to be using, realizing that we're all one. And if we're all one, then you don't have to be bad. You don't have to be seen as evil. No one can even define being bad. This is what goes on my brain, and now you guys are just like getting it all. But no one can actually define bad. Like if you define bad, like people are like, okay, bad is someone who lies, cheats, steals, and kills. You're telling me that y'all didn't steal in your lifetime? Y'all didn't lie in your lifetime? So by definition of yours, you are bad people? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, ugh. A great example of like who defines what's good and bad is what happened to this K-pop star. I'm gonna put his picture right here, but apparently he was getting canceled because he smoked and had a picture of him with his ex-girlfriend, and this is before he became famous. Apparently he like lost his job. He was completely canceled just because he did something that a lot of people do. Yet he lost his whole livelihood because he did something that everyone else does. That's what I mean about who is going to define what's good and bad. To some people, what he did was bad. To some people, what he did was perfectly fine because everyone else does it. And so that's what I mean about like, who am I to say, oh yeah, they're like label someone a bad person because of my definition of bad. It's my definition, not everyone's. There's not like a clear, like something that says this is all bad things, you know? Because at the end of the day, even killing, depending on who you're talking to, is good or bad. Like you can have people who kill that are good and people who kill that are bad. That's what I'm saying. Like we need to realize that there's many different filters. There's many different filters that you can put on, and it all is individualistic. Like it depends on the person. I also wanted to jump in here and say about the I don't think we're meant to share our trauma, and that is because, again, if you know about law of assumption, everyone's relationship with people is individual based. So like my relationship with one person is going to be completely different from the next person's relationship with them, and it's going to be completely different from the next person's relationship with them. Depending on my perception of the person, they are going to show up differently than the next person. And so when you think about it that way, it's like clearly there are going to be people who experience the good in people and people who experience the bad, and it's all about perception. And that's why I don't think we're meant to share our trauma, because again, that's individual. Like I think that's why I stopped even mentioning who hurt me, because I know that people experienced him in a beautiful light. And I know that, like I've seen it because I experienced the good in him until I didn't. I understand that everyone didn't cut him off. I understood it. It hurt, but I understood because everyone is going to have a different experience with him than I did. It's not going to be the same. That's why I said, I don't think we're meant to share our trauma. I actually think it's okay to share your trauma, like what happened, but I don't think we're meant to say who did it, because I feel like, again, back to what I was saying, like people can change. And so labeling that this person did this to me, again, putting them in a box of people who hurt people. Am I making sense? I hope I am, and I hope I'm not hurting anybody. The reason why I got here, I was thinking about Liam, I was thinking about his ex, and I was thinking about the Directioners, and I was thinking about my grief, and I was thinking about all of it together. And I'm like, who am I to be empathetic towards this man who hurt someone? And then immediately I wished my rapist well. And it was so like from such a good place that I gave that to. Like I hope he thrives. I hope he meets the love of his life. I hope he is an amazing human being. It felt so good to say that. It felt so good. And I know that because I did that, like he can thrive in my reality. You know, in my reality, he's going to be a good person. I want to see good. Like I personally want to be living my heaven on earth. If I see him, I don't want to have any ill will towards him. What is that going to do? He's me. I'm him. Hurting him hurts me. Doesn't make me feel good. You know, like hoping that what happened to me happens to him. What? That doesn't make me any better at all. And it's just going to continue the cycle. And I'm trying to cut that off now. And so me showing this empathy that I've had since I was a kid for all these bad people, I understand why I had to have the empathy, and now I understand why I had to go through my trauma. I even was sitting this morning and I was like, wow, I'm grateful I went through it, which you guys are gonna think is insane for me to say, especially if you saw my last few videos. So I said that crazy statement and didn't come back and explain why I said that. I said that I'm glad I went through it, because if I came on here and was telling you guys all these things and I had never went through something traumatic, if it wasn't that I went through it and I'm still saying the same thing, like I can have empathy for him, then you guys would probably be like, who the hell are you to be saying this? Like you have nothing to relate to. You've never been abused by a man. Of course you think that it's easy to give empathy. Like, no, I get why I went through it, because because now I can say honestly that I have empathy for everyone, and even him. I hope he thrives. I hope he lives a beautiful life, because it'll only make the world more beautiful. If he is a better person and doesn't do what he did to me again, you know, like it'd only make things better, instead of hoping horrible things for people and then more horrible things happen and we wonder why horrible things happen. But yeah, I said that crazy statement and didn't explain myself. It's literally because I have something to relate to others with and show you that like there is another side to it. This is what I'm saying, like I'm really shifting into my God self, and that's unlimited. And in my world, I think people can be good, and I think people can grow, and I think people can help other people grow. And that only happens when people are happy. And so I'm going to wish well to everybody. Anyone who hurt me, like I feel so much peace now because of it. And I'm not saying that it's gonna be easy for everyone to get to this point, because it wasn't easy for me at all. I've been working on this for a while, but like just knowing there's another side, you know, just knowing that, hey, you can be happy, and you could be happy for the people that hurt you too. I felt a huge release, and I know that this isn't going to be received well for everyone, but for the people who do hear me, I know you hear me, you know, I know you get what I'm trying to put down here. And I said I was going to be more open with my intuition, and this is like this whole criminal talk ever since, again, law of assumption has opened my eyes to way more and taught me to accept my empathy, because I felt like sick. Like I felt like I was crazy because I had empathy for people. Like I was like, what is wrong with me that I have empathy for people who do bad things to people, even people who like hurt me and hurt my family, like I still have empathy, and it used to piss me off. Like, why can't I just be mad at them? Why can't I just hate them, you know? And I can say that like I thought I hated people, but like I still had empathy for them, and it showed in my actions. My actions showed that I had empathy, but my words, I tried to say that I didn't. I tried to say I hate people, but no, it's just a damn empathy. And now I'm like, oh, I love this empathy. It makes me more excited about life. Going through life knowing that there is good in everyone, you'll experience that good. Like we know this from manifestation, like we know this from law of assumption. If you see the good in people, you will only get more good from them. If you see the bad in them, you will only get more bad. So why not focus on the good? We need to, as a society, stop focusing on the bad. News focuses on bad. You might get like one good story and it'll be like, oh cute, but like the rest of the 23 hours and 50 minutes is going to be strictly bad. Only bad stuff. That's the problem, because we know what we perceive manifests. So us all focusing on this bad, focusing on all the bad stuff in life. And like another thing, ooh, I'm talking today. Another thing I was thinking of is like the separation of the art and the artist. And because I was seeing a bunch of people who love to like boycott music, and that also was always interesting to me, because like for me, I never really, except for One Direction, I never really was a stan of anyone. I guess the closest after One Direction would maybe be Beyonce. Even that, like, it's not her as a person, because I don't know her. That's why I think One Direction is like the closest I've ever been to a fangirl. And I still don't think that I was a true Directioner, because I didn't know everything about people. Like people will be saying things on Twitter and I was like, I don't know what that is. I'm just here for the music and the live performances. Loved them live. I realized that I actually do separate the art from the artist, because I was kind of boycotting a few artists in particular, because I'm like, oh, they did bad things, and I just like, my morals I can't do it. I can't listen to them. But then I'm like thinking about it and I'm like, Louise, like again, everyone is you pushed out, you focus on the bad, they're gonna do more bad. Focus on the good. And then all of a sudden, no lie guys, no lie, all of a sudden I started seeing so much positivity around these artists, and I was like, oh my god, Louise, literally, you manifested it. And so like looking at that, it made me again realize that like everyone is you pushed out. Everyone is you pushed out, and that includes celebrities. And so I decided to start listening to those artists again. And the thing is, like, everyone uses the excuse like, oh, I don't want to put money in their pocket. First off, we are law of assumption people over here. Why are you valuing money so much? Why do you care? Why are you holding money to such a standard? Like it's energy. It flows. It flows, you know? Like, it's not meant to be hold on to. You flows. The more you give out, the more you receive, you know? So why does it matter? And I was actually going to do a whole video that was like streams for Bear, because at the end of the day, there's people around them that they're supporting. And so why not look at it like that? Like, oh yeah, I'm supporting I'm supporting their child, listening to their music. I don't have to go see them in concert, but I'll listen to their music because for me, my relationship with the song is what matters, not my relationship with a person that I've never met. And I realized that I actually do this because I have so many artists on my phone. I was playing one of my playlists and I was like, I have no idea who any of these artists are. There was like a few songs that I know for sure. And one of them, funny enough, was Clinton Kane. And I was like, oh my God, he's on my phone. I had no idea, not at all. I had no idea who he was. Really don't care about artists. And I'm not really a concert goer. I'll go to a few people, like I'll go to Beyonce, and I went to One Direction, and that is it, those two. One Direction was actually my first concert. Fun fact, you guys saw clips at the beginning. I think I'm gonna add those. What was I saying? Am I gonna post this? I did a whole lot of yapping. Do I wanna post this? You know how people are saying like, I don't wanna give them money. We're acting like we're pulling money out of our pockets and giving it to them. Unless you go see them in concert, you're not actually putting money in their pockets, like taking money out of yours and putting in theirs. Because you probably pay for a streaming service and listen to a bunch of people, not just the artist that probably did something wrong. And I haven't even seen like the One Direction artists solo. Like I haven't seen any of them live. So like I literally just listen to music to listen to it. Like that part doesn't make sense to me. Like why does it matter? Why does it matter if you listen to a song? If you listen to a song, if your relationship with that song is pure and beautiful, that's what matters. The artist doesn't matter. Like, and I'm saying that because when I made my workbook, that was so fully channeled that I was like, oh my God, this must be how artists feel. And I was like, oh my God, so the artist doesn't matter. Who I am doesn't matter. What matters is the message, you know? I don't know. All these epiphanies. I yapped y'all's ears off. I had to restart the video. There's just... Am I going to post this? I need to pick my mom up from the airport, so I need to hop in the shower. But I hope you guys enjoyed this yap of a video. If you want me to yap again, I might make a whole playlist of all these yaps that I'm doing. If you haven't already, definitely subscribe. We love to talk things here. The first time I did this was when I talked about being Black and racism, and now we're here. So like I think we're like slowly but surely, I'm just like opening up about all these thoughts that I've been having, and it's scary. So scary. Are we gonna do a comment of the day? Like, is that what... Well, I don't think we're gonna do that today. Just, you know, thoughts, opinions down below. As long as you're nice, I don't mind hearing differing opinions. I'm very open to that. I'm gonna go now. I'm done. I'm done giving you all my epiphanies that I've been having for the past 2 weeks. Thank you. Okay, bye. Bye.